young man. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our show. We're visiting today with Kurt Roskopf, who is involved in 5 or 6 different nonprofits, each of which has a bunch of subcommittees. So we're probably going to do, three or 400,000 shows over the next 2 millennia. uh, Kurt, we were talking about the larger organization called People. I got to plug in my computer here. People for a New America. And within People for a New America, there are no less than 9 subcommittees, one of which works with veterans. And that's the one you're on the most, I think. And then within the veterans group of this committee, you guys are planning music festivals around the United States, like California, Atlanta, Marion, Illinois, things like that, right? Is that correct? Is that a
Yeah,
correct
and we're
representation of what you've said in show
like
number one?
in your marketplace, we could get with
Yeah, yeah,
folks in your marketplace, and
yeah. Well,
yeah, that's absolutely correct.
okay. And how's this now? Do you see this music festival thing as a money maker for the veterans aspect of People for New America, or is it simply a way to get back to the community, or is it a veterans awareness vehicle? How do you see it?
Yeah, it is intended to be a funding mechanism, a fundraiser. But there's a business around doing that. Because at this point, we're out there getting sponsors just to have the concert and to cover the cost
Right,
of music. But
right.
then when this gets all across the country and it becomes an element, of our, supporting veterans and, all things People for New America, and, you know, all our 9 committees are, fully evolved, and, with all of our coalitions and all of that, once everything is running, and then plus we're in the film industry, TV industry, radio industry, once we get all of our industry infrastructure set up, yeah, absolutely. The end game is that, yes, it's a fundraiser in the end of it, but right now we're in the investment stage of it.
Yeah. I would think so. Yeah, and not to. Well, I want to stay with this veterans subcommittee for a while, at least the next 2 or 3 shows. You guys do some podcasts in your world too, right? Are any of the podcasts about veterans or not?
Um, yeah, that's something that
As he disappears from the screen. And now we're going to be going to our McDonald's commercial. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, it's yeah. Well, when you talk about the podcasting thing, I got to pop up with that hat on, but I didn't grab the hat. But in any case,
Yeah, it's all good. But you do some podcasts, don't you? I think haven't I seen?
yeah, yeah. So what I've done personally is I've worked as an ambassador of Project Die Hard before even knowing about People for a New America. People for a New America has been going a handful of years, like 4+ years. However, I've more been involved with Project Die Hard, but in the last 2 months, I've been with People for America with 2 months, eight weeks. I've been
Okay.
with this
All
group.
right.
But what I bring to the table is that Project Die Hard does our Mission Monday live stream every Monday. We do so, and we're talking about all things dealing with veteran suicide prevention. For a vet.
Okay, good. This is something I want to get to. So I love repetition. So we're gonna go right back over all this. So you do a podcast on Mondays
uh,
that is whose topic is helping veterans, and most specifically helping to prevent veteran suicide. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and part of our Project Die Hard program is we have a forward operating base Rush in McCann, Illinois, and we're actually working with a Kentucky property just was provided to us, so it just happened. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with that other property in Kentucky, but in Illinois, in McCann, Illinois, Southern Illinois, we have a 20-acre property with a 10,000 square foot facility. And so right now, that McCann, Illinois facility is open for veterans from around the world to come to that.
You're cut out. You've just cut out. I don't know why.
All right. So,
Oh, there you are back, but you did cut out for a minute there. Can you repeat that? What you were saying? So
yes,
that property in Illinois, are you going to have veterans come and live there, or what?
that is the mission and intention. It's not set up that way today. It's a funding issue that we
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
yeah, we haven't had the money to rehab the facility for a dwelling place. Uh,
Okay.
but that's what it's there for. So we're fundraising like crazy. But right now it's available during the day, so veterans from around the world can come during the day. We can do stuff locally, whatever. And then plus it's got a technology center. So, if people are there locally, it can be a trans-local connection where some locally can gather and then connect like we're connecting here. The
Right.
Zooms else can be at play. It can be a resource for veterans that make it to that site that way.
And didn't you tell me in a previous show, because we've done 4 or 5 shows now, did you tell me that you're also rent out that space to other nonprofits, like for daytime meetings and stuff?
Yeah, so if businesses want to use it, we would ask them to, patronize the nonprofit and provide, the fair market value of rental type thing, whatever they can do to pay for it as a for profit. Nonprofits, we do partnerships where if we can create an exchange where they help us, we help them, we help those who help us. We like to work with nonprofits, and our intention is not to charge nonprofits because we're a nonprofit and we're
Yeah,
hoping
yeah, yeah.
we
But
can
this is in Marion, Illinois, right?
in that area. Marion is actually about 20 minutes from the property of a drive, 20 minutes of a drive. But McCanda is the township it's in.
So it's kind of a foresty,
Yeah.
wooded type area.
Yeah, there's a
What's the
forest
what's
right
the what's the nearest very large town like Bloomsburg or
Well, there's Carbondale right there and stuff like that, but you're still talking, a 10-minute drive, whatever, to come to these other, bigger places. So
well, I'm thinking there's a big Zen center in Bloomingdale, I think.
yeah,
I think. And if there is, some Zen centers look for Zen retreat areas.
there you go.
And so they may, and if my memory serves me, there's more than one Zen group in Bloomingdale, Illinois. So that even if it's a couple 100 miles, it wouldn't phase them a bit.
Oh yeah, for something like a retreat,
Yeah, like a weekend retreat, they could, yeah. So there's a lot that you could do. It's very nice for someone to gift that to you guys. Now that was gifted to Die Hard or to People for America.
to Die Hard, Project Die Hard.
Okay, but you guys are helping other nonprofits use the facility. That's good.
Yeah.
If people want to get in touch with someone about all of this, they would call you because your number is going to be on the screen, or in
Yep.
or in the dialogue in the description box on YouTube. So they can just call you, or they need to call someone else within the organization, or
Everybody can follow up from this show to me, and then
okay,
you
all
know
right,
I will
good,
work with them that if other people would add into the conversation, whatever, I can take care of
yeah.
all that.
Okay, now getting back to your podcast on veterans. It airs on Mondays. At what time and what time zone?
Well, Pacific time is 4:15, so my central time is 6:15. And I say that because you asked when it airs. It actually would air 4:30 Pacific, 6:30 Pacific. I'm used to saying quarter after because we ask our guests to be there at quarter after to be ahead of when we
Yeah,
air it.
ahead of the game. Okay, yeah. So 4:30 Pacific time. And where is it? Spotify or Podcast Guru or where is it?
We've been mainly sticking with LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live.
Okay. Can they watch it after the fact, recorded on YouTube or not?
Yeah, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Yeah, it's live streamed to there, and then yeah, it's there as constant archive to go back to.
So
Yeah,
what okay, so what are they gonna Google to get to it? What phrase should they use to watch it?
Mission Monday Project Die Hard,
Okay, that's a mouthful.
or
Okay.
they can just Google Project Die Hard veterans and find the channel and see it that way.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mission Monday. Repeat those two things. What were the two choices?
I would recommend either typing in Mission Monday Project Die Hard or just simply Project Die Hard Veterans.
Okay. Okay. And it's what, a half an hour show?
Actually, we go for an hour.
And you're the host and then you have a guest on?
Um, I'm the humdinger ringer that comes in towards the end. My wife actually is the main host.
Oh yes. Oh, okay. Sue, her name is, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yes, I saw one of those. So that's good. I'm glad she's so what type of guests does she have? Like people from the US Veterans Affairs or local nonprofits that help veterans, or what are some of what's an example of some guests that have been on?
Everything you said is who we want. We have our mission partners. We have community partners and so forth, resource partners. So, we've got like, say, someone who distributes coffee. So basically, we have a resource that when people are at our facility and want coffee, they get coffee thanks to our resource partner on coffee. So that they'll come on and we'll talk about this stuff. Or we're like, we're Santa approved. Are you Santa approved, Mark?
Oh yes, I'm no, I'm not because I can't afford the $25 a month. That's I know John though. I've met him
Yeah.
through Alignable.
Yeah.
He's got a good thing going there.
So he comes on, and then once in a while we'll have veteran business owners who are, good supporters of Project iHeart. So when we have a guest, you're meeting people who are our examples of supporting our mission. We ask people to pray for us. We ask people to share our mission. Obviously, our ask of a donation, monetary contribution,
Right, right.
volunteering, and we're open to any way, with referrals or
Yeah.
whatever form it can come to. And like I say, we're about helping those who help us. So as soon as we find somebody helpful to our mission, I'm on task to make sure they're welcome. So like, Mark, if you want to be on our show, you're on our show because you're helping us. You're helping
I
us.
have to write a poem about veterans and suicide. So let's go a little deeper. We have some time here. So the what is the situation with veterans and suicide? Is it, let's talk about it, some of the statistics around it, what we think is going on psychologically with our veterans that causes this. Why do veterans not ask for help? What is it that finally gets a veteran to ask for help? Some of those questions. Can you speak to some of that? It's mostly men, I would think, of the what veteran group is most likely to do that?
Yeah. Well, what you're dealing with is that when you think of the military and you think of, like you say, the men, and think of the composition that men are of the whole roster of military and veterans. Now, women are playing a very significant role in military these
Oh,
days.
you're darn right.
A lot
Yes,
of women.
including combat and Rangers, Army Rangers. Yeah, the whole enchilada.
Yeah, but you're still looking at that men are still the vast majority, even though that's the case. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at,
The
you know,
numbers. Yeah,
men,
yeah, yeah.
men that we lose to suicide and women we lose to suicide, that every time we lose a woman veteran, it's more significant because of being the smaller fraction of the total pie,
Yeah.
you know, right? But
Who are the psychologists and psychiatrists of the world who are or of the United States who are helping with this, understand this phenomenon? Do we know who's doing that?
well, the psychologists, psychiatrists, that whole realm, they you have to think about what they deliver. Somebody comes into their clinic and a veteran leaves with the service of that psychiatrist, psychologist, and then goes home. Or if there's a need to, have some inpatient, if there's stuff that needs to happen within the VA, whatever,
Yeah.
they do that what they can, but it's very limited. And then they go home. So, so the largest healthcare crisis known to humankind for all of us is social isolation. So now you look at that's a human condition around the world. And then now you're looking at a veteran being in social isolation, and then now they're there to their own thoughts about all the gory stuff and all the horrific memories that they have that just keep playing over and over, and then the disruption to it's a disability. I mean, in a lot of cases, people, veterans find themselves claiming a disability when they're like, wow, I never would have thought to claim a disability. We're hearing about veteran peers saying, dude, or come on, girl, you got to get in and you got to claim a disability because veterans need to learn how what they're carrying as a veteran is disrupting their function as a mother, father, as an employee, to be able
Right.
to do what I'm talking about here, serving nonprofits, whatever. It interrupts the whole gambit of lifestyle.
Yeah. So there's a lot here. Do you know of any books about veteran suicide that have been written by someone, ex-military psychiatrists, or do they have psychiatrists and psychologists in the military for them? Pre-discharge or
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I mean, just think of watching the movie MASH, that in the TV show we
yeah,
watched, they did have the
yeah.
thing. They'd see the psychologist. So, yeah, so true.
Okay, okay. I don't know. It just seems like we could be doing more somehow, but then that's why we're working on this, I guess. Veterans Affairs. I don't. I mean, I'm not a veteran, but I don't have much of a very good opinion of the VA myself. Do you think it runs well? Have you interacted with them on behalf of some of these soldiers or men and women or not?
Well, what I can tell you is just this last summer, I had experienced that um, we had a veteran at one of our water ski events, and my family and I ended up taking the veteran to the VA. And so we were able to be there to witness the care that they got, right firsthand, which I would say, Milwaukee VA for our experience. And that was just in admittance. What happened as soon as he was admitted, into the VA, I don't have insight to that, but
Right.
the process of checking them in and taking care of them to start the care process. Very impressed. And I served 10 years as an EMT. So on a pre-hospital level, I was the guy bringing people in on an ambulance and working
Right.
our staff that way, type of thing. So,
Right.
from my perspectives, um, I have that and other experiences which were positive, but I'm with you that there's a break in the system, and there's people that work for the VA that have fallen into a trap, and the idea is, let's think about it. When you have a job, you like your job. And when you understand what you need to do to keep your job, that's what you do, right? So
Yeah.
we have not in the VA created a culture to build the bureaucracy to be veteran centric. It's very system centric. And, like the administration of the Veterans and Veteran Affairs Administration, they just need to be able to show bureaucratically that it can show up on paper.
Yeah.
That's what we're running into is
Yeah.
what's real in terms of, our legislators can see it on paper versus what happens, like me physically going and experiencing the great work they're doing. Two
Right.
totally different things. And
Okay.
so there's a little bit of gap there to fill the gap between the bureaucratic trap that is there to like
Yeah.
to keep their jobs and to keep the funding, games people.
Right.
It's a political nightmare. What's
Would
going
you
on.
would you say the Veterans Affairs Department is doing a better job than the American public perceive it to be doing, or not?
I would say it's on both sides. I think if we could really share with the American people stuff that goes on in the VA, we'd find it more horrific than you ever would imagine. But then on the other side, you do, I mean, the VA, I'd have to look up, how many people the Veteran Affairs employs, but we appreciate the VA is a ginormous employer. So when you talk
Yeah.
about, are we doing a good job? There are a lot of fantastic people working for the VA. Like at the Milwaukee,
Okay.
I'm in adaptive
Good.
sports, and the VA created an event in our marketplace called the Adaptive Sports and Rec Expo, which worked with DAV, Paralyzed Veterans of America, and work that I never dreamed the VA would be doing. So
Okay.
I would
Good.
say more of the good news stories than the bad news. But like I say, I want Americans to know that the VA has people within its bureaucracy, um, within its structures, within its offices that fall into a trap, a pit, and it's a
Yeah.
systemic problem that we have to fix the system of the veteran affairs for sure.
Okay. Now, so that leaves the question to me that there may be room for a nonprofit that is whose members are therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists who would that would help with veterans. Do we have anything like that in the United States? Anywhere?
Um, I actually would have to do research on that. I mean, I think you've got a great question, and I would like to think so, but to answer yes to the question, I'd actually have to research it, but I would expect to research it and find tons of situations of that I just don't sit here know right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But you
Well,
sure would.
the other approach is to have an organization, a nonprofit, or like one of your existing ones, whose job it is to go to therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists and ask them, of the existing 20 patients you have, would you be willing to take on one veteran? You know what I'm saying? And then we'd have like one or two veterans per health professional. And then if you had like 10 health professionals per major city, you could begin to, because my thinking is if you're a veteran and you're living in an alley or in a shack or renting a room and your mind keeps going over the battles, you need somebody. You need somebody that you can call, that you can go to, that you can say, God, I got to get in the hospital. I got to get some help, and it needs to be widely known. Like we do have the 988 number now, for mentally ill challenges. That helps a little bit. That's for everybody, not just for veterans, but we need to do more for our veterans. We really do. We really do.
Yeah, and
So,
um,
yeah, cool.
I call it an all hands on deck initiative. Like right now, the month of December, is the highest incidence of suicide for all population, but then it's
Okay.
proportionally a spike for our veteran population. So if you look at the increase for all population and then the increase for
Right.
veterans, there's more of a spike, than there is.
Okay.
So it's disproportionately again, something that we haven't figured out. We haven't responded properly and fully yet to our
Yeah.
veterans to bring that statistic down. And that's
Okay. Now, when a veteran gets discharged from the service, is there any known pattern of how or when in the next, say, 5 years they start to have problems with suicide? Is it right away? Is it 2 years later, or is it dependent on their living condition? Like if they're homeless, they're more likely, or what? Is there any stats on that?
yeah, I would sure think yeah, I've seen stats like to break it down to all of those situations. I really haven't seen it broken down for us that way. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, the VA has it. It's just as a matter of like,
yeah, they aren't going to release it. Yeah,
yeah, maybe we got to call our congressional representative that they asked
that's
for us
not a
to.
bad idea. Well, that's our line that says we have just a little enough time for me to close out here. So
All right.
I'm gonna wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. We have been visiting with Kurt Roskopf for two shows today, and that's probably 4 or 5 total. We're talking about Veterans Affairs, which is dear to his heart and dear to my heart. And just think of your local veterans, try to help them if you can, and contribute to your local veterans groups. I want to thank you for watching. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time. Kurt, thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it so much, man.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Yep.